Apologies, Inquisitor. It appears we have lost contact with the kill team on board the Prosperous Dawn. Communications are currently impossible due to unknown
Madam Captain! A riot has started on board starboard gunnery deck Gamma! Several crewmen have gone mad and are...
Priority alert. The Prosperous Dawn has been enveloped in a bubble of workspace. Current hypothesis, reverse Giller field emanating from the Prosperous Dawn. Threat profile, extremist mid-race.
Captain?
Close the void shield! Now!
Aye, Mom.
All security teams, perform a sweep of the ship now. Priority focus, starboard side. Execute.
Lord Inquisitor, we are receiving a signal from the teleport Hummer the kill team had.
Any word from the team itself?
Negative, Lord Inquisitor.
Very well, Captain. Get the navigator to bring us closer to the Prosperous Dawn. We're going to send in the strike team.
As you wish, Lord.
Justicar, ready your squad for immediate deployment. Your orders are to ascertain the location of the Blackstone samples the kill team recovered and retrieve it. Expect heavy demonic resistance.
It shall be done, Lord Inquisitor.
Purge the beasts! Drive them back into the war!
Justicar, I have a lock in the signal. We are close. Onwards for Titan and the Inquisition!
Grey Knight Strike Force has boarded the Prosperous Dawn and has zeroed in on the teleport Homer signal activated by one of the Kazakin. The abandoned vessel is swarming with demons, and the Grey Knights are here to both purge and secure the Blackstone samples the Kazakin kill team had recovered. The Justicar is leading the squad, and in addition to his Nemesis Force weapon and Stormbolter, he is equipped with Purity Seals for when he badly needs a free reroll in combat. Brother Devlin is the next member of our roster and is equipped with dual Nemesis Falchions. Falchions are the popular meta choice because of their reliability. However, meta's not really what we aim for when we're enjoying a narrative experience, so the Falchions have been limited to one per pairing of Grey Knights. In addition to his standard equipment, he has been equipped with a Santic Blessing so that once per battle, he can perform a free Manifest Psychic Power action. Brother Kane is armed with a Nemesis Force weapon in addition to his Stormbolter and has also been given a Psych Out grenade. The grenade's ability to do massive damage to demons magnified in the close confines of the Prosperous Dawn should come in clutch during this deployment. Joining Brother Kane is Brother Iacant. Much like Brother Devlin, he is equipped with dual Nemesis Falchions, a Stormbolter, and has been given a Santic Blessing for that once per game free Psychic Power. Brother Thorn has a Stormbolter and Nemesis Force weapon. His main role will be to provide fire support and has thus been given Psybolt ammunition, which increases both of the Stormbolter's damage characteristics by 1. He is backed up by Brother Thule, whose main job in this mission will be to focus on objective recovery. He is lacking any other additional equipment as there are no more equipment points remaining. The eagle-eyed among you will have noted that 12 equipment points have been spent instead of 10, as per the balancing rules within the narrative section of the Kill Team rulebook, following the upgrades the Chaos Demons earned as a result of their massacre of the Kazakin Kill Team in the previous game. As the Grey Knights are seeking to banish the demons infesting the area as they recover the Blackstone, I've gone for the Seek and Destroy deck of Tactical Ops, and have drawn Execution, Headhunter, and Rout.
Fresh from their victory eliminating the Kazakin, the Chaos Demons are tearing through the Prosperous Dawn and have earned 2 upgrades. The first fire team is the same group of Plague Bearers from the previous game, here to represent Grandfather Nurgle. The only real specialist in this fire team is the Horn Bearer, who can improve the movement speed of the rest of the Plague Bearers. The Bloodletter fire team is also making a return. The Blood Reaper doubles as the entire team's leader, and now also comes with the battle honor Vicious, adding +1 critical damage to its melee weapon, making it extra nasty in close quarters. All of the Bloodletters have been equipped with brass horns, allowing them to re-roll one of their attack dice whenever they charge, making them more reliable in combat. And finally, the Bloodletter Icon Bearer has also gained the Vicious battle honor.
Today we are playing Mission 1.2 from the Shadow Operations Shadow Vaults mission pack, Passageway of Death. The Grey Knights have teleported on board the Prosperous Dawn and have homed in on the location where the teleport Homer was deployed and the location of several dead Kazakin. There are 3 objectives in this mission, an Alpha objective and 2 Beta objectives. The Beta objectives represent areas where some of the corpses of the previous Imperial kill team, the Kazakin, can be found, alongside the Blackstone they liberated in a previous game. As an action, an operative within range of a Beta objective that hasn't been looted during the current turn can loot the objective, recovering the lost Blackstone and scoring their side a victory point. The Alpha objective is where the body of Kazakin Sergeant Krauser lies. At the end of each turning point, the operative that controls the Alpha objective scores a victory point and they can move the marker 2 inches down the corridor. Complicating matters is the presence of a sentry turret. The disturbed machine spirits of this defensive emplacement will target the closest operative as long as the sentry turret has cooled down from its previous attack, which takes 2d6 activations each time it fires. By the sentry turret is the security panel. As an action, an operative who controls the security panel can program the turret so that the turret no longer targets their side. The Grey Knights are deploying in the blue corner and the demons in the red. In the scouting step, the Grey Knights chose to dash with one of their operatives towards the hatchway, which will give them access to the northern side of the board. The demons chose the option which would allow them to change an operative's order in the first turn and thus gain the initiative. Neither side is choosing any strategic ploys, nor are they revealing any tactical ops, so it's time for the game to begin.
The Chaos Demons are the first to activate. The Hornbearer lets out a mournful dirge to increase the shuffle rate of its fellow Nurgle demons, and begins the advance.
Next up is the Grey Knight, who dashed forwards in the scouting step. He opens the hatchway in front of him and continues his advance down the northern edge of the area.
With a necrotic groan, the next Plaguebearer shuffles forwards and bursts through the hatchway into the corridor beyond.
Unfortunately for the Plaguebearer, the sentry turret is equipped with dual heavy bolters. This gives it 5 attacks with the 4/5 damage profile. It only has a ballistic skill of 5+, but it does have the relentless special roll, allowing it to reroll misses. It also has the P1 critical hit ability, but that's not going to make a difference to its invulnerable save. Taking advantage of the relentless special rule, the sentry turret hits twice with a critical and normal hit. The demon fails all of its saves, and its revolting resilience is not enough to save it. Having obliterated the Plaguebearer, the sentry turret rolls 5 and has to wait that many activations before it cools down and can fire again. So it's back to the Grey Knights, and Brother Thorn advances through the hatchway and joins his fellow battle brother.
Onward, brothers!
Another Plaguebearer goes next. It advances forwards to open up the other way that leads to the Blackstone and the waiting Kazakin corpses on the demon's side of the ship.
The first Marine of the second pair of Grey Knights, Brother Icanth, moves carefully into the next room. The 6 Grey Knights are going to be moving up as a squad, but the positioning's got to be just right for when they ultimately breach into the corridor. The demons vastly outnumber the Grey Knights, and there's always the sentry turret to deal with.
A Bloodletter activates next and moves up to the hatchway by the Corridor of Death.
Brother Kane is the next to activate, and he's the Grey Knight with the Psych Out grenade, so it's very important I position him such a way that he won't be blocked from using that grenade in the next turn.
Unsure as to how many Grey Knights are going to be moving in the same direction, the next Bloodletter moves up to support the Plaguebearer advancing towards the Blackstone.
As tempting as it is to harass the demons going for the Blackstone on their side of the board, the Grey Knights don't have numbers on their side, so Brother Devlin advances forwards to join the rest of the team.
We shall carry the light of our faith!
Realizing the potential damage a Grey Knight armed with a Psych-Out grenade could do, this Plague Bearer activates next and moves up to close the door.
This just leaves the Justicar to go on the Grey Knight's side, who advances forward through the hatchway and joins the rest of his squad.
And with a howling shriek, the rest of the demons surge forwards in preparation for the next turning point. At the end of the first turn, both sides have moved into position and are ready to begin their attacks. The sentry turret proved how deadly it could be, and scored first blood by destroying the unfortunate Plague Bearer that wandered into its path. This automatically caused the Grey Knight's execution tactical op to be revealed at the end of the first turn. The Chaos Demons have lost the initiative going into Turning Point 2, and are planning to send a couple of demons east to loot the bodies of the Kazakin by Beta Objective 2, while waiting out the Imperials so they can get to experience the wrath of the sentry turret instead before the demons rush in. No points are being spent on strategic ploys. The Grey Knights are also not spending any command points on strategic ploys, and have revealed the tactical op, Rout. The Space Marines are massively outnumbered and plan on sending one of their brother Marines to Beta Objective 3 to start recovering the Blackstone there. Given how cramped the conditions are, and how many demons are on the other side, the Grey Knights will have to be precise in their timing when they breach the main corridor.
With the Grey Knights having the initiative, Brother Fuel activates first. He swings open the hatchway door and advances into the room with the dead Kazakin and secures the Blackstone on the objective marker, scoring the Grey Knights their first victory point.
In preparation for the upcoming assault, the Hornbearer plays its flute, increasing the movement speed of the nearby Plague Bearers.
This buys the Grey Knights the time they need to move up to the hatchway to the corridor, opening it and going on guard.
With the situation rapidly becoming more tense, the southernmost Plague Bearer activates and moves up to a flanking position by the hatchway leading into the main corridor.
It's now time for Brother Iakanth to activate. His job is to take care of the sentry turret. He swaps out all the tokens and goes into the engage stance. His first action is to cast Armored Resilience on himself, granting him a 2+ armor save until the end of the turning point. He then uses a move and a dash action to charge through the hatchway into the corridor and into the waiting presence of the sentry turret.
The Emperor is with me, and I shall not fear!
The sentry turret lands 3 hits on Iakanth, but the Grey Knight's Psyker-enhanced armor blocks all of them.
Feel the power of the Emperor!
The turret needs 5 activations before it can shoot again. The demons continue to play it cagily as the Bloodletter moves up to this Plague Bearer and waits in a flanking position.
Taking advantage of the demon's surprising reticence, Brother Devlin goes next and moves through the hatchway and into the corridor, taking a commanding position over the sergeant's dead body and going onto guard.
Sensing the nearby prey, the Plague Bearer knocks open the door.
This reveals it to the Grey Knight on the opposite side of the corridor, who is on guard. Brother Thorn manages to roll fairly impressively, scoring 2 crits and a normal hit. After setting aside a die for cover, it manages to make another save, which blocks a single critical hit. After rolling for Revolting Resilience, it takes a total of 3 wounds. With a rotten smile on its lips, the Plague Bearer absorbs the incoming fire and charges into Devlin, who uses his guard action to start a free fight action.
Thanks to Relentless, Devlin strikes with a crit and 4 normal hits. The Plague Bearer swings back with a crit and 3 hits. Devlin lands the critical for 5 wounds, but thanks to the demon's resilience, it survives long enough to strike back, dealing 6 wounds before being sent back to the warp.
Seizing his chance, Brother Kane goes next. He rushes through the door and into the open corridor. He then equips his Psych-Out grenade and hurls it through the hatchway at the waiting demons in the opposite room. Every single one of the demons within this room is caught in the explosion of the blessed grenade. As glorious as it would be to show you every single roll, time is the Emperor's currency and only a heretic wastes it, so here's a summary of the results. All 3 Plague Bearers sustained wounds after rolling for their saves and revolting resilience. 2 of them only have 3 wounds remaining. As Demons of Nurgle, they don't count as injured when below half their starting wounds, but they should be relatively easy for the Grey Knights to pick off. The Bloodletters have similarly been wounded, with 3 of the 5 in the room now counting as injured, and the Blood Reaper itself banished back to the warp.
We strike with the wrath of the righteous!
Enraged, the injured Bloodletter snarls and charges the audacious mortal. The injured Bloodletter strikes Kane with a critical and uses its brass horns to reroll a miss for another hit. Although the demon deals 6 wounds to Kane, the Grey Knight is able to swing back and take out the Bloodletter.
The Emperor guides my blade!
The Justicar is the last brother to activate, and he changes his order to an engage order and joins the rest of the squad in the main corridor. He then opens fire at one of the Plague Bearers through the hatchway. The Justicar lands a crit plus 2 normal hits with his Stormbolter. The Plague Bearer manages to block the 2 normal hits and rolls its revolting resilience against the remaining crit, but it's promptly dispatched. For his final action, the Justicar casts Armoured Resilience on himself.
Determined to finally start a death tally for the glory of Grandfather Nurgle, this Plague Bearer takes out a Death's Head grenade and throws it at Brother Kane. The Plague Bearer rolls 2 criticals and a normal hit. Kane's armor blocks the normal hit, but the remaining damage goes through, taking him out.
Unfortunately for Brother Iacant, the sentry turret has finished its cooldown sequence and once more opens fire on him.
The turret hits Iacanth with a crit and a normal, reducing his save by 1 die. Iacanth saves the normal and uses a command point to reroll the failed save, but fails again, putting him to 6 wounds. The turret will cool down in 8 activations.
With all the Grey Knights having activated, it's time for them to begin doing Overwatch. We begin with the Justicar taking aim at the Plague Bearer, which incapacitated Brother Kane. Unfortunately, even with the Stormbolter's relentless ability, only a single hit lands, and this single hit bounces harmlessly off the Plague Bearer.
This Bloodletter goes next and charges through the hatchway and into the corridor, engaging the Grey Knight standing vigil over the dead Kazakin Sergeant's body. The Bloodletter strikes at Devlin with 3 crits and a normal hit. Devlin strikes back with 5 criticals, but his skillful swordsmanship is for nothing, as the demon deals 6 wounds to him, incapacitating him.
Emperor, preserve us!
Hearing his battle brothers cry for help, Iacant goes next and fires Overwatch at the Bloodletter in the corridor. After using Relentless, Iacant scores 3 hits. The Bloodletter is only able to save 1 of those hits and is sent back to the warp.
Despite dropping like flies, this demon relocates, eager to get into the fray.
The Grey Knights have only 1 potential Overwatch action left, so Brother Thorn opens fire at the Plague Bearer in the hatchway. After using Relentless, Brother Thorn lands 3 hits and a crit. The Plague Bearer blocks the crit but has to block 12 wounds with Revolting Resilience and is unable to do so, and is thus banished back to the warp.
And for the final activation of the turn, the Standard Bearer moves up to the hatchway.
Turning Point 2 was incredibly successful for the Grey Knights. By managing to loot one of the beta objectives, eliminating the Blood Reaper and scoring Rout, they have surged into a 4 victory point lead. Going to turn 3, Brother Iacant is going to try and take control of the sentry gun if he survives, as the Chaos Demons have the initiative. It's going to be tricky for the Chaos Demons to close in on the Grey Knight's lead given how decisive the previous turn was. Their best bet is to use the Bloodletters to try and slay the Marines in combat while contesting objectives.
For the demon's first action, the Hornbearer plays a tune and rushes forward into the corridor to take control of the objective marker with the dead sergeant's body.
Down the other side of the corridor, Brother Icant goes up to the security panel and reprograms the sentry turret to recognize the Grey Knights as friendly. With the sentry turret no longer a threat, the Grey Knight turns around and takes aim at the Plague Bearer standing watch over the Kazakin's body. Icamp scores 3 hits and a crit. The Plague Bearer fails all of its saves and its resilience cannot block the damage.
Running out of options, the Plague Bearer has no choice but to open up the hatchway in front of it and try to claim the sergeant's body.
Taking a moment to savour the desperation of his demonic foes, the Justicar opens fire on the Plague Bearer. The Justicar lands all 4 of his shots. The Plague Bearer saves 1 and then blocks 4 wounds with its revolting resilience, putting it down to 3 remaining wounds. The Justicar uses Bolted Discipline to fire again, landing a crit and 3 hits. The crit is saved, but the revolting resilience isn't enough to block the remaining damage, and the demon is banished. The Justicar then uses his final action to move into position to protect the corpse from the nearby Bloodletter.
Enraged and sensing the challenge, the Bloodletter charges forwards at the Justicar. The Bloodletter's unstoppable ferocity helps it score a crit and 4 normal hits. The Justicar strikes back, scoring 4 hits, and thanks to his purity seals, a crit. The Bloodletter strikes with the crit, dealing 6 wounds. The Justicar responds with its own crit. The demon can only land 1 more blow before the Justicar finishes it off.
Brother Thorn activates next and moves to secure the body by moving out into the corridor and going on guard.
The Cornate Icon Bearer snarls a devotion to the Blood God and uses ephemeral regeneration to heal 4 wounds before it rushes into the corridor and charges the Grey Knight, who uses his guard action to brace for the charge and fight first. Thorn uses a command point to reroll a miss and scores 2 crits and a hit. With unstoppable ferocity and its brass horns, the Icon Bearer scores 4 crits and a normal hit. Thorn deals 6 damage to the demon, which responds with a crit of its own for 7 wounds. Although wounded, Thorn is able to dispatch the demon with his next blow.
For the Grey Knight activation, Brother Fuel stays in place, recovering the Blackstone samples and scoring another victory point for the Grey Knights. The one remaining Bloodletter, caring not for its lost cause, charges forward to contest the objective in the corridor for the glory of Khorne, and runs right into the targeting sites of the sentry turret. The turret's relentless shots land 2 crits and a normal hit. The Bloodletter's demonic save can block 1 crit, but it isn't enough, and it's blasted to pieces.
At the end of Turning Point 3, the Grey Knights have eliminated every single Chaos Demon on the board. As they also control the Alpha objective, they go to 7 victory points. With no more demons to contest them in the final turn of the game, they finish scoring their objectives and tactical ops for a grand total of 11 victory points to the demons' 0.
Are you satisfied we have all the Blackstone that was to be found? Aye, but we have not accounted for one of the Kazakin, Trooper Smith. Either his body is elsewhere, or he is the one that set off the teleportoma. Either way, this little Blackstone will do the Inquisition no good. The Inquisitor requires orders of magnitude more. How fares the rest of the squad? Operational. Our brothers who were incapacitated have quickly recovered. Very well, we will proceed onwards to the source of the warp tear. Perhaps we will find the missing operative and more Blackstone while we are at it. With all this warp interference, calling up an accurate schematic of the ship is proving difficult. Any ideas to what direction we should go in? Through them.
And that's the end of this battle report. Give it a like if you enjoyed it and consider subscribing if you want to see more. If you'd like to support our work, consider joining our Patreon. We'd like to give a special shout out to our Inquisitor tier patron supporter, Nick Shantz, but it's thanks to people such as our patrons that we're able to keep making these videos, so thank you to everyone who helps out the channel in their own way. We really, really appreciate it. As we enter the fall season, my own real life work commitments start to wind down, so we're looking forward to working on the next battle report and having that up on YouTube before long. We'll see you all next time.